Day number 4. Hopefully this is the one that I draft a good fantasy football team. We're going to figure it out together. I have not proven that I know anything at this point with how bad our teams have been over the last 2 days. So we are going to go ahead. We are going to hop into a $5 puppy draft, 20-second timer if you are wanting to get in here with us. And OBS is messing me up real quick. So let's slide this over so we can fix this screen for y'all. I don't know why OBS screws me like this, but we good now. And we back home, baby. We're at pick 9. All right. If y'all are new here, pick 9 and I, we have a history. We have a past. We have chemistry between the two of us. Now, I haven't been with pick 9, my long lost love, in what? Last time I was doing these underdog drafts before this week was September. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. I haven't been, is it really 8 months? I haven't seen my love. I haven't spent any intimate time with her in 8 months at this point. But we are finally back together. And hopefully she does me as she did last year. We will see. We will see. But we are so back. Austin says, first season going in with a badge, ready to eat. Love to hear it. We got BP. John says, new logo. I like it. Yeah, if y'all haven't already, go take a peep at the new little profile pic I updated the channel with. Business 101 is you shouldn't be updating your logo. You shouldn't be updating your profile pic every year. But I don't know. I get excited. I like to. So we threw the new one on there and I like it. But let's move this over. Moss, happy to see you. Happy to see you. A-Rod says, I'm just here to be. Yeah, I threw on the poll. Appreciate you being here with me. And then I wanted to see how many people are here to just beat us in a draft. I figured there was some. Oh, we have missed. If y'all don't know John, all right. And I should probably talk about the draft here for a second. We're about to be on the pick at pick 9. Let's see what's up. We'll take whoever falls between Neighbors and Genty. With how Nico Collins did us last year, I'm sorry, my friend, but I'm going to have a hard time taking you. Nico goes. What will be available to us on the way back around? I like the running backs there more than the wide receivers. So I think we're fine taking Ash and Genty, pick 9. First time we've taken Genty as well. But just in case y'all have not been introduced to John before. John does not take 5 grams of creatine a day as a normal person would. John takes 20 to 30 grams of creatine a day. And it looks like people in the chat already remembered John the Creatine King. Most people here already know John. Most people already know the Creatine King himself. It's hilarious. And if I have some extra lore with John that I'll let y'all know in just 1 second. Let's figure out who we're going to take. I like Bowers more than London here. But the difficulty is rounds 3 and 4, I don't want to have to get stuck taking wide receivers at both picks. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of flexibility by taking Drake London at pick 16. I don't know if it's the right or wrong thing to do it, but we are going to. But let me give y'all a little bit more lore on John, just in case you're new here. John, God knows, I can't believe anything this guy says in the live stream. Last year, he's in the live stream every single day telling me, oh, I live in Austin. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember all the details. I remember him saying, like, I'm jacked. I got a super good job. I'm good looking. I get girls, blah, blah. 99% of the stuff you could tell is not true, right? And I was convinced this dude, like, lived in Oklahoma. He said he was going to be at the Flock meetup in Austin, Texas, which we will have another one. It'll be around August 15th if you want to be there. I'm hanging out there for like 3 hours. I go to the parking lot to give like some extra guy there, like an extra hat that I had in the car. And John runs up for half a second and goes, I'm real. I can't stay, but I'm real. And I have to go. He showed just for a second, didn't hang out. He said hello and then left immediately. It was a little extra John lower. Vinny says, in John's honor, I'm going to do a shot of creatine tonight. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. But anything interesting happen in this draft? I don't think so far. I mean, in comparison to where ADP is, Brock Bowers very rare. I guess maybe the tight ends are going later. Bowers, I don't think I've seen go at 19. Usually he's at the 1-2 turn. I don't think I've seen Trey McBride fall to the 3rd round yet. So it does look like maybe the tight ends are slipping in this draft, which could be something to note. But obviously we have a very boring start, right? Going Genty, going Drake London gives us a little bit of flexibility through the middle rounds here, where it's a $5 draft. We're still testing things out. We're still trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. That way later in the offseason, when we are getting in $500 drafts, getting in $1,000 drafts, we hopefully have a shot to not be getting completely crushed. And real quick, of course, just in case you don't know what's going on here, I apologize for talking too much about John's creatine habits earlier, but we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so it's not like your regular fantasy football league. There's no time commitment at all during the season. So I draft hundreds of teams every single year. It's not going to replace your main fantasy football league, just some extra fun on the side. And if you wanted to get in a draft with us, we do this every single night. We've done it every single night for years. We'll do it every single night for years going into the future. You can find the link in the description, comment section, live chat, code FLOCK. We'll hook you up with a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, on top of that, you'll be getting a free 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet from yours truly. It's just going to be emailed to whatever email that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with in 2025. And again, these are the states that Underdog is in. It is no longer in New York at the moment. They just had to reapply for their fantasy license, so I need to get an updated map for you. But outside of that, you should see Underdog is available in 95% of states, and you'll see it on the map there. Now, Dylan says, I remember last year you scared us if you were going to retire if you won Best Ball Mania 5. If I win BBM this year and I win the $2 million, John and I may be moving to an island together. The only person who may ever see me again is John himself. Kyron Williams at 33. I think Kyron's just by far and away the best pick in that range. But what it does to us is it makes us take a wide receiver with our next pick, which I'm fine going ahead and taking DJ Moore here. Am I super excited about it? Definitely not. Keep in mind, the Chicago Bears go out of their way. They take a tight end with pick 10. Then they followed up with another pass catcher at the beginning of the 2nd round that has a good prospect profile. New coaching staff too, so you don't really know what they think about DJ Moore, and based off their actions in the NFL draft, maybe it doesn't seem like they're in love with him. But I think it's a fine price point. And again, the rule that we have for ourselves is we need 3 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds in these Underdog drafts. At least me personally. We tried to get away with some other stuff earlier in the stream this year, and it just frankly hasn't worked out. So we're going to make sure we don't fall too far behind at wide receiver. We're going to take DJ Moore and then figure it out in the next few rounds. Okay. Thomas asking if we're still in the triathlon game. Yeah, I'm signed up to do Ironman Lake Placid in July, but to be completely honest with you, I'm not really training for the Ironman. What like my number one big race is this year is I'm doing a 100-mile ultra marathon at the beginning of June. So I've just been training for that and hoping that if I train for that, do it, because the 100-mile ultra marathon is like a 24-hour race. The Ironman's like a 12-hour. That I can just recover the rest of June and then go to Lake Placid in July. And of course, I'm not going to do super well at it, but at least do it. Okay. Yes, if y'all have not done so already, please make sure you hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. And again, if you want to be here at the very beginning of these live streams, make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. George Kittle off the board at 52. Thomas says, nice. I'm working on qualifying for Boston. That's awesome, my guy. Let's move this back over. Again, plan A is we walk out of the first 5 rounds with 3 wide receivers. We'll see who makes it to us. Am I going to pass on Jalen Hurts for Deebo Samuel? Hell no. So obviously, dependent on what happens here, we may change plans. Ah, dear God. I'm going to try to stick with my rule. We're going to take Jordan Addison. A big thing is looking at the elite level quarterbacks on the other side of us. The team at 10 already has Josh Allen. The team at 11 already has Lamar Jackson. How likely are they to double dip and take 2 quarterbacks inside the first 5 rounds and go with Jalen Hurts with either one of these selections? So I think this is really the only team we have to dodge taking Jalen Hurts, which is that team at 12. They have Worthy potentially setting up the Mahomes stack. They go Jalen Hurts anyway at 60, which, again, if I were them, I would have done as well. So I'm not going to blame them whatsoever. Okay. Let's move this back over. And then when it comes to Joe Burrow at 64, probably not going to take him. It's a $5 buy and $100,000 prize pool. If Joe Burrow is going to crush to the extent that he is winning us the league at pick 64, you probably need either Higgins or Chase to go with him. Falony, thank you, my guy. Happy for you to stop by. Al Bennett says Lake Placid's a beautiful course. I've never done it before. The only Ironman I've ever done is Ironman Nice. I'm excited about Lake Placid. I know it was it was voted as the best Ironman course in North America, which is exciting. What are we doing in the next few rounds? Trying to figure out wide receiver versus running back here. Let's be on the same page that Kenneth Walker is a much better pick than Jerry Judy. In a vacuum, I think I would way rather have Kenneth Walker here. The difficulty with it is looking at the teardrop that you were going to have with wide receiver later on. Things will get very ugly very quick. Now, let me show y'all a quick little snippet of what you had from Jerry Judy last season and maybe why he's a little interesting here. Again, whenever I pull up any of these stats, if you ever want to find them, they're on flockfantasy.com, completely free for y'all. Jerry Judy here, you will see that this past season gets up to the wide receiver 12 in total fantasy points, played 94% of the snaps for the Cleveland Browns. And on top of this, you're looking at a receiver that had over 1,200 receiving yards and 145 targets. So he did this off of volume, not necessarily just getting lucky with the touchdowns. And going into this next season, the Browns don't really invest anything at quarterback. They have Flacco here, potentially for a ton of passing volume. So, I don't know. Again, I would rather have Kenneth Walker in a vacuum. Like, we have Sherman in this draft with us at pick 7. And I think that his Kenneth Walker pick's better than our Jerry Judy pick, but he set himself up in a position where he could take Kenneth Walker because he only had 1 running back through the first 5 rounds, and he had already had 4 wide receivers. So, props where it's due. I think he made the better pick, but I think he was also set up in a better way to take advantage. Yeah. If Judy does not have Flacco, if Judy has Kenny Pickett, or if Judy has like Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, this Judy pick's very bad. This Judy pick pans out if it's Flacco. That's what we need. Questionable says all of that Judy production only happened after Deshaun was out. Couple different things. We can just test to see if that's true. And yeah, you can see Jerry Judy at the beginning of the season wasn't great. Jerry Judy did not have a week finishing higher than the wide receiver 27 until week 9. But then 14.5, 26, 14, 40 points against Denver. So the massive spike, 17, 21, 4, 21. So if you think Deshaun Watson's the starting quarterback, probably not a solid pick there, but I don't think he is. And I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk. I know Ricky Pearsall, our guy Sticky Ricky, has a higher ADP. Frankly, I don't care. I think Ayuk's the better bet. We've seen Ayuk have the top end production in the past. He has the contract. He was horrendous at the start of last year and coming off a significant injury. So you definitely need a big discount on Ayuk in comparison to where he was getting drafted last year, with where he was getting drafted last year in underdog drafts was at the 2-3 turn. Yeah, exactly. Watson's not playing in 2025, which is why I'm fine taking Jerry Judy. Sag says, rank the Bears pass catchers. I would go with DJ Moore. Then I would go Roma Dunze. Then I would go probably Burden over Loveland. Burden then Loveland. John says, can't wait for the flock meetup. Well, we'll see if you're there longer than 20 seconds this time, my friend. Okay. Yeah, I understand. I mean, the Browns have 5 quarterbacks. I was addressing the comment where people mentioned Deshaun Watson. Again, I want to go back to what I said about this situation. Luther Burden, no interest. Ibuka, no interest. Najee, no interest. Tyrone Tracy, no interest. It's really Caleb Williams, TJ Hawkinson. Looking at the quarterbacks that will be available to us later with our potential stacks, we actually have a few names here. We can go with Purdy. We can go with McCarthy. We can go with Penix. Since we have Addison, we could take Hawkinson as well. And we can throw up the what if JJ McCarthy is very good and has a Baker Mayfield season from last year? What if Jefferson gets injured and we get a dramatic bump up with the target share of both Hawkinson as well as Jordan Addison? So we'll get some correlation in that passing offense, which I feel decent about. Okay. Dylan says, you do a SoCal meetup for Flock this year. Sadly, we are already committed to the meetup being in Austin, my friend. I'm sorry. I know you would make it out. I know you'd make it out, though, if it was in SoCal. Okay. DV says, no concerns with level of competition Ginty had at Boise State compared to the NFL. Do I think Ashton Ginty is going to have the same efficiency per rush and the same yards after contact that he had in college when he goes up against NFL linebackers? No. But if Ashton Ginty is half the player that he was in college, he'll still be a running back 1 in fantasy and still be a completely fine pick. In round 1, I think it's a safe projection for Ashton Ginty to get 300 plus touches as a rookie. So I am completely fine taking Ginty round 1 myself. Questionable says thoughts on Pacheco falling. I like this Pacheco price tag. I'd rather have Pacheco over Jalen Warren, Najee, Tracy, Scadaboo. Let's swing this around. So it looks like a lot of these quarterbacks are potentially making it back. So I think we made the right call on passing on Caleb Williams where we did. 3 teams before us here. Now 2 teams before us don't have quarterbacks. Jay Sherman has Rome as well as Luther Burden. Yeah, he takes Caleb Williams. If y'all don't know, he hangs out in the live stream all the time. Obviously phenomenal calling his in. Caleb was the right pick. For us, I think we're going to go with Purdy. I know that Bo Nix maybe has better projections, and Bo Nix obviously was absolutely dominant last year in comparison to Purdy. But we're sitting with Brains and Ayuk. We have no stacks for Bo Nix. I don't want to pencil us into Marvin Mims a little bit later on. So let's go ahead and let's just take him. Floodgate. This is cool. Says, bro, I've been watching you since the beginning of high school. Now I have a summer job with a fantasy sports startup. You're the GOAT for inspiring me. That is incredible. Let me know what the startup is. That's really cool. So we go Purdy, then Tyler Warren, Shaheed, Jordan Mason all off the board. This team after us that has Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield's done at quarterback. This team has Lamar. This team has Josh Allen. They had Jennings and Pearsall, so it kind of made sense that we had to go ahead and take Purdy. We could go Bo Nix here as our second quarterback if we really wanted to, and then call it a day at quarterback. But then again, that would kind of pencil us in. I guess we could see if Evan Ingram would make it to us in round 11. So we'll see. Bo Nix falls, we may do it. McCarthy, the thing is, we could still possibly get away with taking McCarthy. What's the alternative of Bo Nix? Charbonnet? We'll take Charbonnet instead. Don't exactly know what the right call was there. If we didn't have the double stack set up with Addison and Hawkinson, I'd feel very comfortable that you just take the falling value with Nix. But I have no idea. Floodgate says it's called Smash Up Fantasy Sports. Interesting, my friend. I have not heard of it, but I am definitely wishing you the best of luck. That's really good news. But Questionable says, what's the lineup format? In Underdog, it's 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. And it is a half PPR. Bateman goes 117. This is hilarious. Floodgates is also Mason versus 100 Gorillas. Give me Mason in 5. Legitimate question here. I've seen some hilarious memes about this. I'll say that I've never really got into TikTok in terms of watching stuff on TikTok. Full transparency. And I know this is going to say much more about me than it does about TikTok. The algorithm knows me too well. But anytime I try downloading TikTok, 3 days in, it would realize that I just want to see hot ladies dancing. And that's all it would show me. And I would have to delete TikTok on day 5 because I was like, okay, I can't be opening up TikTok. And this brain rot is what it's showing me. So I haven't had TikTok in years. However, Instagram Reels doesn't show me that. Instead, just shows me the funniest memes I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I love Instagram Reels. And it's to the point where, like, it's definitely a problem. You know, like, I'll sit there and I'll be on it for 40 minutes. And the issue is that, like, I don't regret it. I'll sit there and scroll on Instagram Reels for 40 minutes and I'll go, that was 40 minutes well spent. And they've showed some hilarious memes of people making like the 1 gorilla versus 100 human thing. But anyway, that's a little side thing. And we're going to take Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram making it to us at 129 does make me feel as if we maybe should have just gone ahead and taken Bo Nix with the last pick. But anyway, legit question. 100 people versus 1 gorilla. Who's winning? Let's see it. Carl says, F the draft. Let's scroll your feed. Honestly, it would be fun to watch Instagram Reels together if I could figure out how to put that on the stream. Okay. Let's see. We got PPR Tyler. Congrats. Tyler, how many streams did you have in a row? Tyler had like 100 Underdog streams in a row. Okay, let's see. 100 people, gorilla. 100 people, gorilla, gorilla. Gorilla, we can't do any damage to it. No weapons, gorilla. 100 people easily. Gorilla would get tired. I think it would be 100 people would win if we could come up with a plan. If we could all get together and go like, hey, we're going to sacrifice Tyler. He's the first guy going at the gorilla. We're going to sacrifice the first 5. Floodgate is gone. Dylan's gone. Judd's gone. We have the people we sacrifice. And then we have our second round of people that go in to try to like poke out the gorilla's eyes. You know, like if we could plan, I think we could have it. We're going to take JJ McCarthy here. Pretty easy setup. We have Addison. We have Hawkinson getting in the double stack. Decent price point with McCarthy as well. Again, I have a very difficult time. I think everybody does evaluating these quarterbacks coming from college to the NFL. And I would say that McCarthy's that similar boat, right? It's not like we've seen anything from McCarthy to not treat him as if he's a rookie. And a lot of times I just go through and I just say, well, what situation is this player stepping into? And with McCarthy, he's going to a situation with a great coaching staff, not only with a great coaching staff, but at the same time, you have Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson in a spot where Darnold succeeded last year. So I think McCarthy can have a lot of success. I don't know if he's that good, but again, it's $5 buy and $100,000 first place prize. We're shooting for upside. But right now, running back, we have Genty, Kyron Williams, Zach Charbonnet. Wide receiver, we have London, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison, Jerry Judy, Brandon Ayuk. Tight end, we have Hawkinson and Evan Ingram. Quarterback, we have Purdy stacked up with Ayuk, and we have McCarthy double stacked with Addison and Hawkinson. So I actually really like this team, to be honest. 100 Gorillas versus Mason. Give me Mason. YouTube user. All right, here's the advanced scouting report that we got. Gorilla stats: weight 300 to 500 pounds. Strength estimated 4 to 10 times stronger than the average human. Bite force 1300 psi, stronger than a lion. Durability: thick skin, dense muscle, and bone, can take hits. If unarmed, they're not coordinated or trained to fight as a unit, and they'd likely panic. A gorilla could easily break limbs, crush skulls, and throw grown men like ragdolls. Looks like YouTube gave us an AI in the chat here. That's what it looks like to me. This is the puppy tournament. We have like the little buy-in up in the corner for you to see. I saw this. I don't know if it was on Instagram Reels or if it was a tweet. Is that said, F the gorilla, 100 Latinas versus me. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was really funny. Y'all are pretty funny. Sad news is LeBron got bounced from the... I need to focus in on the draft more. Crap, we are on the clock. Y'all are distracting me. An auto Michael Penix wouldn't be the worst. Do we take freaking Leggett? How bad is the Leggett pick here? We're going to take Michael Penix, stack him up with London, and then we'll be done with our quarterbacks. If we were paying attention, maybe we could have figured out that a team after us maybe wouldn't have taken Michael Penix. When we go Penix here at 153, it does pot commit us to only take 2 tight ends with Hawkinson and Evan Ingram, though. Like, I don't think we can get away with taking 3 quarterbacks this early and 3 tight ends, but I think we can get away with taking a quarterback at 105, 136, 153 if we're only taking 2 tight ends. Okay. Y'all are so funny. Isaac Garindo off 156. Joshua Palmer goes 156. I'll never take freaking Joshua Palmer. Are you kidding me? I know he's with the Bills, but still. Okay, let's see. We are just running back wide receiver from here. Keaton Mitchell goes 158. Another dude that I will never take in this range. Geno Smith off the board. It's either Ray Davis or Leggett for me. The thing is, the wide receivers that we are going to be looking at in a bit are the absolute worst things to ever walk the planet. So we will take Leggett, and I will try my luck later with these running backs. I feel better about trying my luck with the running backs than I do the receivers. I thought about Jaden Blue. Here's my thought process with Jaden Blue. I think he is one of these guys that will probably be like a 16th, 17th round. I think Jaden Blue may be the freaking Chargers running back from last year. Who was the rookie Chargers running back last season? Y'all know who I'm talking about. God, what was his name? Yeah, we're going to get in more drafts after this for sure. Oh, yeah, Vidal. I think Jaden Blue may be Vidal. That's my thought process. And the Cowboys, for me, it would just... And I know this is like the fantasy football effect. This is maybe not the smartest real life move or the likely real life move, whatever it may be. But it would be so nice for Chris Olave to be a Dallas Cowboy. Send Olave to Dallas, and I'd be a happy, happy man. Okay, we are looking at running backs and wide receivers still. We got rounds 15, 16, 17, 18. We got 4 rounds left. Can you get away with 6 running backs here? We got Ginty, Kyron, Charbonnet. Probably only 5. King Kong says that round 14 would have been expected round 3 like 3-4 years ago. I don't know what you mean by that. David says, when should I draft Travis Hunter? Our league has a DB position. You should draft him very early. I was going to take Jalen Tolbert here. I was kind of getting excited that he's going to make it to us. We'll take Jalen Knoll. Again, my issue is I think with a lot of these rookies that aren't the Ashton Genties of the world, that aren't the T-Max, that aren't the Travis Hunters, I think a lot of them are going to be going later in August than they are now. But ADP 151, getting him at 177 doesn't feel like the worst thing in the world. And again, these receivers are about to get very gross. And you look at the running backs that are best available in comparison to the wide receivers. We're going to be on the board at 184 in a minute. I think we're going to be in a good spot. Okay. Steven, the biggest value in my opinion right now is the most boring player, and I know nobody wants to hear me say this player's name. Legit, the biggest value in underdog drafts at the moment, I think, is maybe Rachaad White. Not saying he's good, not saying he's going to have a great season, but if you're just looking at points versus draft position, I think Rachaad White. Last I checked, we were getting him. I mean, a couple drafts, we got him around 15. I mean, at the very least, round 14. Okay. Master Shake says, does it matter if any of these players drop by the end of summer if the $5 tournament's going to close in a few weeks? It's a great point, but I'm going to be drafting a crap ton of these teams, and I'm going to have a portfolio. So I'm going to be drafting at the end of the summer. So I don't know if I want to build out a portfolio of these guys that are going in around 14 in May, when I think in August I can possibly be taking them in another tournament in round 17. I'll take Dylan Sampson. Again, another example of like, I don't think we've taken Dylan Sampson so far this offseason, but 184 in comparison to the ADP at 156 does feel a hell of a lot better. God dang. This camera will not focus. But let's move this over, and we may hop in another draft right now. I may just queue up a couple running backs and call it a day. We have Ginty, Kyron, Zach Charbonnet, Dylan Sampson at running back. Quarterback, we have Purdy stacked with Ayuk. We have McCarthy double stacked with Hawkinson, Addison. We have Michael Penix stacked up with London. Wide receiver, we have London, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison, Jerry Judy, Brandon Ayuk as our wide receiver 5, then Leggett at 6, Jalen Knoll at 7. And the question is, I know I need to take at least one more running back with this last pick coming up. The question is, can we take 2? Do I need another receiver here? I don't know. Judd says Samson could be Kareem 2.0. The issue, in my opinion, is it's a bad offense. And he's possibly the 3-man running back by committee, and he's clearly not going to be the RB1. Like, it would be a very, very big surprise if, in my opinion, he's playing over Judkins. Like, I'd be shocked. Okay, so again, we are just running backs, wide receivers, based off what we need with this team. Master Shake says, I understand that, but I feel like the portfolio breaks down by the different drafts that you're in, not who you pick throughout the entire offseason, in my opinion. I 100% can see that argument, and I'm not going to fault you for viewing it that way. I more so just look at my exposures through the course of the entire offseason. I'm not looking at my exposures tournament by tournament. Okay. JT says, every time you take a swig of water, I take a swig of scotch. Good to know, my friend. Good to know. I was trying to come up with a joke for it, but I couldn't. Slayton off 198. I know who I want. Mason Taylor goes 199. It's not him. Justice Hill off the board. Perfect. I get my guy. We're going to take Mr. Roschon Johnson. Bears take a running back in round 7, but honestly, I think Roschon plays over him. I think Roschon is the running back 2 in a much improved offense, has good pass pro, so I think that can get him on the field for third downs. We saw some goal line usage last year, and very little competition out of this backfield this offseason, like we said. Jalen Wright goes. Jahan Dotson goes. If I wanted to take a wide receiver, what wide receiver can I start taking in round 18? What pick am I not going to feel horrendous about? There's the Jordan Whittington pick. Here are the 2 guys that I'd be looking at. If I'm going to go with the wide receiver, give me Whittington. Hook 'em horns. And if I'm going to go with the running back, I'm going to go Marshawn Lloyd. I guess you could talk me into Blake Corum, but Blake Corum goes right here. So spam the chat. Who are y'all wanting? I've already taken a ton of Adonai Mitchell. We could add him here. Let me know who y'all want. Go Chubb, Lloyd, Mike Williams. We're going to go Lloyd. We're going to go Lloyd. And let's go ahead and let's hop into another draft. We'll get in another $5 puppy. And then after that, I think we can do another Best Ball Mania. As honestly, I feel good about the draft we just had. We're pick 2 here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What will be available to us at the turn? Late round 2, we could be looking at Taylor, McBride, Bucky, Higgins, Tyreek, JSN, Jacobs. This is what we are looking at the 2-3 turn. So, I don't know. BP says, Mason, Tyler was wondering how many days he streamed in a row. He's trying to batch beat. I don't have the exact number. It was like 230 or so. So unless he's going to stream during the season, it's not possible. I guess actually if he started streaming in January, he could. Yeah. Because whenever I stream for like 230 days in a row, keep in mind, I stream every night during the season answering questions. It's a little bit different. Chase goes. I'm going to try something. Again, this is a $5 draft, so I think we can get a little bit weird here. We're going to go Lamb over Barkley, and we're going to see how this plays out with what we can do at the 2-3 turn and the 4-5 turn and what kind of flexibility this gives us. We'll see. Turner says, at the 12 slot, hell yes, my friend. BP says he's had 100 days straight on Sunday. So we have May, June, July, August. So if he streams every day until the season starts, he can maybe get close. Akin says, is the Flock League going to have the same roster this year? At the very minimum, everybody that you saw last year will be in it yet again. However, we are trying to get a new character too. I have a couple different people that I'm going to want to get. So there is oh, I'm sorry, the yard guy texted me. Let me text him back real quick. There is a super popular live streamer that I've seen a bunch of his clips that are hilarious, that has hung out in the live chat with us before and has watched this channel, named Jinxie. I don't know if y'all know who he is, but I would love to get somebody like that in. That's maybe not necessarily a fantasy football creator, but that is outside of the fantasy space and just hilarious. So would love to get somebody like Jinxie. That would be the ideal. Sketch is also would be cool. I've never seen Sketch hang out in our live streams though. The reason I'm saying Jinxie again is because I've seen him hang out in our streams. So I think it's a little bit more likely. Uncle Fresh says, no way Jinxie's going to be in it. We'll see. We'll see. Here's my plan for like trying to get someone like Jinxie or Sketch in it. When they're live, I'm going to go donate like 100 subs or something, spend a couple $100 to try to grab their attention and say, hey, join the Flock League. And we'll see if it works. That's the plan. Damn it. Trey McBride goes. The Lamb pick I took was specifically so we could try to get set up with McBride. Gosh, what do we want here? We're going to take Higgins and we'll figure it out. Maybe we can play some games with Burrow with this team right behind us that has Chase. Tyler says he's going for 230 days. That's awesome. That's it. Let's try Tyreek. Let's try something weird. We're going to go Lamb, Higgins, Tyreek out the gate and see what happens here. BP coming in with a massive dono. We got people wanting us to get some best ball streamers in here like Corain, Maddock, or Overzet. I was on, what's it called? Maddox's live stream like a month or two ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago for a big board draft. I actually used to watch him, not watch him. He wasn't on YouTube at the time. He only had a podcast. But back when I was like a senior in high school, freshman in college, around that time period of like 2017, 2018, 2019, first few years in college, whenever I'd come home from college for the summer and for Christmas, I was a pizza delivery driver and I would drive around and I would just listen to fantasy football, specifically dynasty podcasts all day and a couple obscure fantasy football podcasts, but I'd listen to his podcast all the time back then. Jack says Ludwood plays fantasy football too. I could see him joining. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. See, this is the thought process. Trying to get somebody that's like fun in, you know, because if y'all can't tell with the Flock League, how I try to play it is I try to play it like WWE, you know, like I'm playing a character. I'm trying to be as obnoxious and over the top as possible. So that's what, like, I don't want somebody to come in the Flock League and be like, ooh, I'm going to be starting Joshua Palmer this week. I think he's an interesting pickup. He had 22 routes run last week and he's a Buffalo Bill. Like, I don't think that would be fun. You know, I want somebody to come in that just goes, Mason's a dumbass. Mason has no idea what he's doing. He's a clown. I actually am smart. And then be funny about it, you know? Yeah. So the teams that we're going to be replacing are the devs. Okay. Yeah, this is what we're looking for. So here's what we're going to do. One of these days when I end this live stream, we'll all go into Jinxie's live stream. I'll drop a big dono. Maybe y'all can too. And I'll say, hey, join the Flock League. And y'all go, join the Flock League, join the Flock League, join the Flock League. We'll see. It's a Hail Mary, but it's one worth throwing. Money Manziel would be... We want some, like, here's what my expectations are for getting somebody like, say, if we got like a Jinxie or a Sketch in the Flock League, I'm not expecting them to submit clips every week. Like, I don't think they're going to be a weekly character. Like, I think it would be too hard to convince them to do that. But what I think I could do is, like, just get them in the draft. You know, getting them in the draft would be a massive win, and that would be enough. Oh boy, says Mason, scared of me. I'm him. Oh boy, 089 with no profile pic is definitely him, and I'm definitely terrified. Zay Flowers goes at 45. Hampton goes, we'll take T-Mac, pick 47. Feel great about it. Again, top 10 NFL draft pick. I think he was a phenomenal wide receiver prospect. Maybe not in love with Bryce Young or the Panthers offense, but to get this level of wide receiver prospects this late, I feel good about. Enemy of Cruelty says Mason's take on Shakir last year was terrible. Yeah, we'll revisit what Shakir did this past season to see exactly how true that is. Calvin Ridley off the board. I think we're going to go George Kittle. This is going to be a true 0 RB team, and we'll see what we can do with it. So, boom, 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 boom. Let's see how good Khalil Shakir was this past season. Because I know Shakir was he was a dominant monster. He won fantasy football leagues, didn't he? Shakir had one game with more than 20 fantasy points. He had 3 games finishing as the top 24 wide receiver that week. Khalil Shakir finished as the wide receiver 36 last season. He had 821 yards. So, yes. I was way wrong on him. He was great. BP says, how do we send money to Jinxie on Twitch? Are we doing this right now? Is he live? Let me pull up Twitch. I never go on Twitch. I watch a lot of YouTube, but I never watch any Twitch because whenever I try to watch somebody, it's like impossible. You have to watch like 20 ads to get to watch somebody. Okay, let's see this. We're actually... He's live right now. Okay. Well, we'll see what we can do here. I'll keep you posted on it. Okay, Chuba Hubbard goes 56. Trevion Henderson off 58. The reason I'm bringing up Jinxie is because I know he's watched me. I would love to get Ludwig. My editor loves Ludwig. I've never seen Queso other than on like clips. Mason, you need to get the guy from the new TV show Pinnacle 50 to join your league. Super funny and he's hardcore in fantasy football. I've never heard of that guy before. Or that. Okay. Okay, let's move this over. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure that out on another day. Scissors is definitely a possibility. Scissors is a member of the site. And he's hung out with us a ton, done drafts with us. So Debo Samuel goes pick 64. Here's what I need from y'all. I know everybody's dropping names of people that they would want in the Flock League. If you know a creator you want in the Flock League, go to their Instagram, go to their Twitter, go to every platform they have and shoot them a message. Hey, you should join the Flock League. That's our best shot, is if y'all help me out with it. Now, we have 0 running backs in the first 5 rounds. So, let's see what we can do. If we can get... Judkins is who I wanted, damn. F it, let's take James Conner and David Montgomery. I do not feel good about this draft. Yeah, I have considered the Madden creators. We're definitely going to... BP says he just sent... Oh, are you kidding me, my friend? That is insane. He just sent Jinxie 150 and he didn't notice. Let me pull this up. Do y'all want MMG? Y'all better get in his DMs and tell him to join the Flock League. Okay, so what are we doing here at this point? I think I reach on Brandon Ayuk. We don't have any Mahomes stack. I would rather have Ayuk over Pearsall, Myers. Actually, no, I'm going to take Myers. Sorry. We'll take Myers at 74. And round 7's the big tier drop at wide receiver, right? So I think we should have access to some of these other options like running back, quarterback, and tight end on the way back around. Okay. So after we take Myers, Brandon Ayuk immediately after, I'm interested to see where the ADP lines up for Ayuk. Reed goes 77. Shakir off 80. Yes, I feel very bad about not drafting a lot of Shakir last year. Very bad about it. Oh boy says, why is Kyle Williams projected to score 0 points? I wouldn't pay any attention to the ADP. I mean, not the ADP. I think the ADP is typically good on Underdog. Give it a week or two. It'll be probably the best ADP you can find. But the projections on Underdog, I would not pay any attention to. I don't think they matter at all, to be honest. Jack says, Ayuk is so tough because if the injury goes well, he's just hands down the best pick in the draft. Yeah, I think you could maybe say the same thing about Rashee Rice. Now, an issue that I've had in fantasy football that's been a massive. Seahawks fan says Jinxie just said he would smoke us. Are you being serious? Let me know if you're being real. But the issue I've had in fantasy football as of late is taking the injured guys too high. Like, we can go back to last year, and I know maybe it's not the best example, but I took Jonathan Brooks. I thought Brooks was going to be a fine option. Like, it's not like I valued Jonathan Brooks as an absolute zero. I thought Brooks had value. I was fine taking Brooks with where he was going. But let's move this back over. So far, wide receiver, we have Lamb, Higgins, Tyreek, T-Mac, Myers. Tight end, we have Kittle. Running back, we have James Conner. Enemy of cruelty. It's been a flocker since 03. Love to hear it. Seahawks fan says he's kidding. Man, you had me over here watching Jinxie's stream trying to figure that out. Had me over here spazzing. Ellie Belly says Kelsey's going to be my most drafted at his price. What we have to at least think about being a real possibility. Okay, so Caleb, we have no Bears. Don't like Najee. Don't like Tracy. Not a big downs guy. We don't need another. We're going to take Brian Robinson. We don't need another wide receiver here. Like, specifically, we go in the early rounds so we can take advantage of the running backs here rather than having to go with the receivers. Yeah, I mean, us taking Kamara a couple years ago definitely did pay off. But again, I can point at Kamara and saying that worked out, and then also point out other examples that went horribly wrong, such as me drafting Jonathan Brooks last year. I wish I had more off the top of my head. I just know I remember that one, and I know it was so clearly a mistake. We will take Purdy. I prefer Caleb in a vacuum, but again, this is a basketball tournament, so we definitely need to be going for stacks where we can, and we don't exactly have any Bears, don't have any access to Bears later on. Purdy, we're sitting with Kittle. I was hoping that Pacheco was going to make it back to us. I thought we were going to be able to go with Brian Robinson and then Pacheco back to back. Yeah, Chubb's another example. I thought that taking Chubb early on, which, if y'all remember how cheap he was, he really just needed to give us a couple usable weeks and he was going to be a fine pick. But the issue is like Chubb came back from that injury. And it's another good example of us taking an injured guy too high. And Chubb was just absolute toast. Like we looked at this in the live stream yesterday, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But Nick Chubb last year, off of 102 carries, had 322 yards. His juke rate fell from where it's historically at about like in the mid to high 30s down to 13%. Like, we took Chubb and he was just absolute dookie. These are the puppy drafts on Underdog. Sean says, why not Tracy over Brian Robinson? I think one, Brian Robinson's in a better offense, and two, Tracy now has the difficulty of competing with Cam Scadaboo, and Brian Robinson doesn't really have any competition. Jack says, it's a terrible idea if you want security, but the upside's enticing in the later rounds. Yeah, again, taking these injured guys, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm saying that I've done it and I've gotten burned, and I'm still doing it. Like I'm saying, I think Brandon Ayuk in round 7 may be the best pick at this moment. But again, I also know my weakness. I also know what we've gotten wrong year in and year out. And it's been trying to go in on these guys with suspension concerns, trying to go in on these guys with injury risk when we are getting them at discounts. Sometimes it works out. Other times it does go very wrong. And we just take a player that gets you no difference making weeks through the course of the entire season. The Pound, happy to see you, my friend. Don't know if you streamed today, but I know I was talking to you yesterday. I was telling the Pound yesterday. We DM'd for a bit. He sent me over his rankings. I was like, I am happy that I didn't stream January through April. I did obviously some Dynasty stuff, but I'm happy I didn't really do a lot of like Underdog drafts or a lot of Underdog streams because I did not do a single Underdog draft on my own account. January through April. I hopped on Davis Maddox stream and did an Underdog draft with him, but I didn't do a single one myself. And I'm happy I didn't. While, of course, I'm kind of behind the 8-ball and I don't know what's going on, and I'm going to draft some bad teams for the first week. I'm lucky enough where I can light $5 on fire on Underdog per draft. I'm like super excited to get back to the live streams, and I just have a ton of energy. And like I am waiting all day to get to stream. Like I'm looking forward to it, you know, which is what I'm excited about. Now Loveland goes 112, Shaheed off 113. So this is going to be a build where we take 7 running backs. I don't know if we've drafted Christian Kirk yet this year. Two Shots says, my biggest win was a weekly draft this year. Got rinsed in best ball though. Just because during the season I'm having to do so much like regular work with the videos and like live Q&A streams, I don't do any of the weekly drafts. I know the Pound does weekly drafts, but for me, one, I think I would get wrecked in them anyway. And two, I just frankly don't have the time to even try. We're going to take Charbonnet here at 119. Feel really good about the Charbonnet price point based off what we need with this team. Tucker Kraft goes 120. Kraft, great touchdown rate last year. Target share wasn't necessarily there. I'm going to take Travis Etienne as well as our RB4. Again, it was 2 coaching staffs ago in Jacksonville that they drafted Travis Etienne. So team has no allegiance to him. The offense may be better this year. We don't know. But Travis Etienne himself was bad last season. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and act like Travis Etienne's guaranteed to be the running back 1 over Tootin or guaranteed to be the running back 1 over Bigsby. If I had to bet on somebody, it would be Etienne. But historically low juke rate, the efficiency not there. You see the snap rate fall dramatically from 74% down to 55%. You see the receiving involvement fall from from a routes run perspective, from a target share perspective, fell from about 12.1% down to 11%. The carry rate fell from 59% down to 43%. So you saw the coaching staff last year in Jacksonville decide to stray away from ETN going into the last year of his rookie deal. He could be one of these guys that ends up getting dealt. But I would almost make the argument that if ETN got traded, it'd be a good thing for him. Like, because realistically, what teams are going to be trading for ETN? Chicago, Dallas, like a team that whiffs on running back in the draft. Michael says, in Dynasty, Hampton or Achane. I have them ranked back-to-back. I do have Achane ranked one spot ahead of Hampton, though. But if you're a rebuilding roster, I'm completely fine if you wanted to go Hampton. I think most people on the site, like if you go to the site and look at the average expert ranks, you'll see that the average person on the site does have Hampton ranked over Achane in Dynasty. McMillan off 133. Yeah, so one thing that has remained the same on Underdog is round 7's your last chance to get a wide receiver. After round 7, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 receivers going in a 4-round period. So 48 picks go in 13 receivers. So I don't know if we need to say we want 5 receivers through the first 7 rounds. We want 4 receivers through the first 7 rounds. But you probably don't want to fall behind the wide receiver points and be having to chase them rounds 8 through 11. The Big Q says, I was RB heavy last year. I believe Henry, Saquon, Jacobs will regress in terms of points. So I was in line with the market on Saquon. Was not underweight. I was overweight on Jacobs. If y'all remember, my big take last year was Jacobs over Henry. But I was underweight Derrick Henry, which obviously was, looking back on it, probably what cost us the most money last year was being underweight Derrick Henry. Desire Best is pick 7's the worst pick. I have no idea what's the worst pick yet. I haven't been in enough of these. I don't want to say too much until we're actually on the clock. Dallas Goedert goes 141. McCarthy goes, we are going to get Trey Benson. Feel good about the Benson selection. Arizona doesn't really address the running back position this offseason. We have James Conner. I'm not taking Benson for the purpose of maybe having unique combo of Conner in the playoffs, which I know you can maybe get that unique path. But more so, I just think Trey Benson's the best player on the board for running back points. I don't want to say too much of our next one. We are going to reach on Rachaad White as well. Again, in my opinion, I think Rachaad White, ADP 153, is maybe the best value on the board. In terms of all of Underdog drafts. It's the most boring pick. I would never say that he's great, but I think he will have a week-to-week role, and I think he's guaranteed to be a running back too. Where I can't say the same with all the other running backs in this range. Like Tank Bigsby has an ADP ahead of him. I can't guarantee... Maybe you make the argument of like, oh, well, Mason Tank Bigsby may end up being the starter, where Rachaad White has no hopes of being the starter. So I can see that argument, but I just think like, I can't even guarantee if Jaden Blue is going to be the RB3 on the team. Again, he could be Vidal. He could just never be anything at all. I can't think Bigsby may be the RB3 in Jacksonville. Tampa's going to be a good offense. Rachaad White would be a high-end RB2 if Bucky Irving were to get injured, and I think he will have a week-to-week role anyway. The Pound says, if Chubb goes to Chicago, do we like Brian Robinson better than Swift? Full PPR format, I think you still go Swift just because Swift's going to have everything on third downs. Underdog drafts where it's half PPR, maybe a little bit tougher. The issue with Brian Robinson is we've just never seen any upside. Like, we've seen him be able to just give you usable weeks, But like even going back to this past year, 0 weeks where he finishes inside the top 10 of running backs. 2023, we get a couple spikes. But on the whole, 18% juke rate last year. The dude only ran 110 routes. His target share was 6% in this offense. Just absolutely nothing as a receiver. And if Jaden Daniels is going to have rushing touchdowns, where if we actually look at this, carries inside the 5-yard line, Brian Robinson had 13 last year. Where Daniels had 15 carries inside the 5-yard line. So if we don't have the checkdowns for Brian Robinson and at the same time, I don't know, you have Jaden Daniels taking rushing touchdowns, could be pretty gross. Foreskin says, how can I get in the next draft? So again, if you're not already, get on Underdog Fantasy. This is where we draft every single night. The link's in the description. It's in the comment section. It's in the live chat. If you use promo code FLOCK, you'll get that 50% deposit bonus. You'll get our 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet. You need to make sure that you are in one of these states, though, if you want to hop on Underdog. But New York does not have Underdog at the moment. They had to reapply for their fantasy license. I need a new map. And then once you do that, when we get in the next draft, you just join a puppy draft at the same time as us. And again, so you'll have to be in these live streams if you want to draft with us specifically. We're going to take Bryce Young here. We have McMillan, so obviously clear stack. So just make sure you've hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to be able to come and hang out with us in these live streams at the very beginning. Apparently, people are jealous of the foreskin name. Ben over here with the most boring name I've ever seen in my entire life. Talking crap on the foreskin name? Sorry, foreskin has some creativity. Okay. And I know who we want here. I don't know if we get him. I think we're going to go ahead and take Jalen Tolbert. We'll go Tolbert, pick 170, pair him up with a Mr. CeeDee Lamb, and go, what if we have Dak Prescott giving us a Baker Mayfield season from last year? And we have Tolbert and Lamb both crushing. So now wide receiver, we have Lamb, Higgins, Tyreek, Tet McMillan. I know we're not supposed to call him that. Jacoby Myers, and Jalen Tolbert. Running back, we have James Conner, Brian Robinson, Charbonnet, Travis Etienne, Trey Benson, Rashad White. Quarterback, we have Bryce Young stacked up with McMillan. We have Purdy stacked up with Kittle. Tight end, we have Kittle. Do not love this team whatsoever. Tried something a little new. What I wanted is I was hoping that we had like a Trey McBride falling to us at the 2-3 turn, and it didn't happen. Andy says, Keenan Allen free agent question mark. When he be a low end wide receiver too? If you look at Allen last year, he had a ton of target volume. Like he actually took a bunch away from DJ Moore. Underdog is going to be a half PPR format, which maybe makes things a little bit tougher. Like, so he had 121 targets, but the man also had 744 yards. Like target share was extremely high with 27.2, but he had 1.51 yards per route run. Keenan Allen was also drafted in 2013, so he's going to like his 13th NFL season. Dalton says, do you think Tank Dell plays this year? I have a hot take with this, and I know people are going to disagree with me here, but I said this when Tank Dell was a rookie. I said this going into last season. Tank Dell is not a great receiver. He had a decent rookie year off the back of crazy efficiency from CJ Stroud. But I think if you zoom out, given his size, you are looking at a severely capped ceiling, increased injury risk, which clearly has played out in the case of Tank Dell. And you saw last year, 1.59 yards per route run. He was like a 24-year-old rookie in 2023 as well. So maybe it was impressive because it was a rookie season. But the reality of the situation is, I don't know if he does that. BP says, I'm still in the trenches trying to get you Jinxie. Let me know how it goes, my friend. I'm going to try to do everything I can to get somebody like that in the Flock League this year. Just because I think at least having them at the draft, like, here's my plan. I think the Flock League draft video is the first video in fantasy football history to get 1 million views. I think we go all out. It is something that is, because last year we spent no time on it. It was just going to be a fun thing, and I didn't think anybody was going to really like it. And now I've completely changed my mind where I think it has more upside than anything else in fantasy football. So I'm going all out on the Flock League, and I think the draft video specifically, 1 million+ views. So I wanted to open up, and I want us to have like some random person from the internet like sketch that you go like, holy crap, you know. My plan right now, I don't even know. I don't want to give away too much. I'm not going to say it. I have a sick plan for us to open up the video with to get draft order determined. I'm putting a lot of thought into it. I'm going to put a lot into it. And because genuinely, it was like the most fun thing I did last year. And we'll see. Sketch is in Austin, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And maybe I overestimate my pull, but let's see. What do we want here? Do we just go Dalton Schultz? Decent target volume last year, no touchdowns whatsoever, so the points didn't follow. We'll take him at 194, and we really need Kittle to come through for us in a big-time way. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Higgins, Tyreek, McMillan, Myers, Tolbert. We need another receiver. We need a 7th guy. So we're going to go ahead, queue up some wide receivers, and then get ready to bounce. Whittington is still there. Jalen Coker. Actually, we probably want to put Coker ahead. We have Bryce Young. Sorry, just thinking. And we'll just queue up some of these bums. Okay. A bunch of wide receivers queued up. Let's get into Best Ball Mania draft. I feel like our drafts today, have they been amazing? No, I'm not going to try to act like they have been. Have they been embarrassing? No. Where 2 days ago, 2 of our 3 drafts were straight up embarrassing. Yesterday, we had 1 of them embarrassing. And we get pick 3. So we get to redeem our... Thing with pick 3 is, in the last draft, we would have got Trey McBride, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving. And I would way rather take Taylor, McBride, Bucky than T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, JSN. So this may be another reach where we take Lamb. We'll see. We may try to figure this out. Jack says, honestly, some of the members of the Flock League were insufferable last year, would skip over when they were talking. The thing is, in my opinion, that's not a bad thing. With the Flock League, in my mind, I want it to be people that you have an opinion on. I want for me to come on the screen and half the people to love me and half the people to hate me. I want Danny to come on the screen and half the people to love him and half the people to hate him. If it was just like we were all very boring and going, yeah, this happened. Oh, that was a close one. Then I don't know how great it would be. I kind of want, like, I'm playing up a character myself that I don't want to be insufferable, but I want to be the villain. We did the 22nd draft. And we're going to go Saquon Barkley. I was planning on going Lamb, but I didn't expect Jefferson to go ahead of Barkley. So I think if we go Barkley at 3, maybe we can get a little bit of a unique combo if we get a player falling. I know obviously the ADP is not necessarily set in stone where we don't know exactly what the unique combos will be at this point. But Ryan in at the 102. Happy to be drafting with you, my friend. Judd says Howard Stern made millions that way. Yeah, there was the famous Howard Stern quote that says like, I forgot exactly how it goes, but I mean, it's a super famous quote. Y'all probably know. It's like, my fans will listen to me 10 hours a week and my haters will listen to me 20 hours a week. You know, just because people would hate watch him to try to figure out the next dumb thing he was going to say. At least from their point of view, it was, you know. So I don't want everybody to be like hated. I'm not trying to make everybody, I don't want everybody in the flock league to be insufferable. But if you're saying like, oh, this person's really annoying to me, I want them to lose. Like, I think that's kind of a good thing, as long as you have an opinion on it. But yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like a WWE. That's my vision of it. I don't think Jinty's overdrafted at all. I think Jinty's completely fine as the RB4 in round 1. I took Jinty at pick 9 earlier in the stream. CMC goes pick 15 again. I do think that it'll be very difficult to get CMC in these tournaments in round 1 as we get closer to the season. In like your regular redraft league where you're only going up against 11 other people, I'm completely fine if CMC doesn't end up going until round 2, just because you don't necessarily have to chase the same type of ceiling. Like in the flock league, I'd be terrified to take CMC round 1 because he could lose me in the entire league and that would just be absolutely devastating. But in like a Best Ball Mania draft, I know I'm most likely going to lose, right? I'm trying to increase my odds of winning the tournament from 0.0001% to 0.01%, you know? And I think McCaffrey is a player that can do that for you. We're going to take Bucky Irving, and then we'll just grab a wide receiver in round 3. Jack says, Jinty will be my most drafted round 1 player this year. When someone flashes that level of talent workload, I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm going to go all in on the upside, not saying it's smart. Yeah, and I don't fault you for it at all. And we will just go ahead and we'll take a receiver. I almost want to take JSN over Higgins. I have no idea. We'll take Higgins and maybe say Bucky, and Higgins as a unique combo. My thing with Higgins, and I could be wrong with saying this, and I actually drafted a ton of Higgins in round 4, is I'm afraid that we're falling into the trap that people have historically on Underdog of overdrafting the players that had the spike week in week 17. Like, that would be my concern with this Higgins price point. Maybe not. Maybe this is where he belongs to go. I mean, he belongs. But that is my concern. The Pound says, I think Higgins was wide receiver 2 points per game. We can go ahead and pull this up. Higgins, week to week, you get the massive spikes, which obviously is why he crushed on Underdog. You have the 40-point spike week. You have the 30-point spike week, the 29-point spike week. Now, this is in a full PPR format, so you can drop these about 4 to 5 points based off the weeks. Thing is, historically with Higgins as well, Higgins, the only time he's ever played a full season was 2022. And even going back to that, he didn't actually play the full season. Week 14, he played 2% of the snaps. So, I mean, it qualifies as a game played, but he really didn't. Week 5, 19%. Week 1, 27%. So he really missed 3 games there as well. So if you just like look in games, I mean, seasons that he's played, let's just go year by year in games he's played fewer than 50% of the snaps, aka he's been injured. Rookie season, he was fine. 1 game, but it was his week 1, so you don't even know if it was an injury or he just wasn't ready. Second season, 1-2, 2 games missed. Third season, 1, 2, 3 games missed. Fourth season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This past season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, crap. Looks like we got Devonta Smith. I'm fine auto drafting a wide receiver. We just need a receiver. What's maybe a little bit frustrating here is it looks like Jalen Hurts went at pick 42 to the Hurts team. To the AJ Brown team. But anyway, whenever I'm looking at a player like Higgins, I hate to label anybody as like injury prone. But I do think it gets to a point where we're going to play catch up at wide receiver. We're going to go Jameson. So what's actually interesting here is if you look at the dynamic of this board, the Jamar Chase team's at 1. So there's a very realistic shot that we actually get Burrow making it back around to us at 70 to stack up with Higgins. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 teams between our next selections that already drafted an elite quarterback, and only 4 teams that could potentially take another quarterback. And none of those teams have Chase Brown or Jamar Chase. So I think that there's a very real shot that we actually get Burrow in round 6. Vinny says he's not making it back, but we'll see. But yeah, anyway, I think it's a very bad thing to label players injury prone or quote unquote made of glass. But when we see it over that large of a sample, I'm okay with it. The Pound says, great spot to push Burrow. Good luck. We'll see if he makes it. We'll see. Okay. The Pound, did you get a chance to see the new little animation we got for like, subscribe, and bell? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Desire Best's thoughts on the Bears drafting with so much competition. I think Caleb's set up to crush. Swift is set up to crush unless they bring someone in. And Rome, DJ Moore, you have to get discounts on him. Okay. Ryan says Burrow made it to 71 the last draft I was in. Jack says, if you're in on any wide receiver too, like Adams, Godwin, Smith, Waddle, realize Higgins is just as good, if not better than these guys, and a great passing offense. Yes, but also the thing is, I'm not saying you shouldn't take Higgins. Like I said, I drafted a ton of Higgins last year. I was terrified at the beginning of the season that our season was going to crash and burn. Sadly, I could not advance Higgins to week 17. But the one team I did advance to the BBM finals did not have Higgins on it. Not saying anything against Higgins, but like these names that you're giving, to be fair, T. Higgins is getting drafted ahead of all of them. And it's not like nobody else understands that the Bengals project to have a ton of passing volume, right? That's kind of priced in. Burrow's quarterback with no rushing upside with an ADP of 49. And we sadly do get sniped on Burrow. I'm not taking Debo here at all again. Maybe I'm stupid for that. Typically, I have been saying that I think you will see some of these rookies falling down boards as we get closer to August and September and people actually start putting out real projections. But I think Judkins is a phenomenal prospect, clear path to being a starting running back. I'm completely fine taking a player with that profile at 70. Okay, Pearsall goes 71. I will say too, maybe one reason that I'm enjoying these streams so much this year for a multitude of reasons. One, y'all aren't being that funny right now, but y'all are hilarious at the beginning of the stream for sure. And two, I freaking love the 20-second timer. The 20-second timer is really nice. We will take Myers. I like reaching on Ayuk in this range, but there's just no reason to if we have Jacoby Myers sitting for us. Now, what sucks is going back and looking at where our potential stacks are and have gone. We tried pushing Burrow to get to us at pick 70. Burrow went at pick 69. Sadly, we didn't get him. Devonta Smith, we took at 46, but Jalen Hurts had already gone off the board. So we had Smith and Barkley. I'd have liked to get Hurts, but doesn't happen. So now our setups are with really Jared Goff for Jamison Williams and Geno with Jacoby. But we'll see. Yeah, 20 seconds is the absolute best. It was definitely a little too fast whenever I did my first 10 drafts or so. But now that I've gotten my feet under me, I feel a lot better about it. And real quick, too, if anybody's new to Underdog, I would not be hopping in the 20-second drafts at first. If you are completely new to Underdog, what I personally would recommend is I would probably be hopping in the 30-second timers just to kind of get pace and feel it. Because it will, if y'all remember, 30 seconds was fast when Underdog first dropped this. Like, 30 seconds was pretty much the fastest we've ever seen. I think 20 seconds is a really nice medium because if you remember last year, they dropped the options for like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and 30 seconds. 15 seconds was crazy. I couldn't do 15 seconds. Yeah. 20 seconds is great though. Okay, Cup goes. Let's move this over. Quarterbacks that are coming around to us. Caleb, we have no stack. Bo Nix, we have no stack. Fields, we have no stack. Now, Fields we can take with the rushing upside. Maybe you say Caleb has rushing upside and we can get a spike wing. Maybe you say Bo Nix does. If you're looking at options we could stack with later on, we could go with Loveland to pair up with Caleb. We could go with Evan Ingram, Marvin Mims to pair up with Bo Nix. Let's try it. I think Caleb scores a lot of points. This is probably really bad, but let's go Caleb here and then Loveland in round 10. ACR says 20-second story of my life. Brother, there's a reason 20 seconds feels like just the right time for me. Let's see. Josh Downs goes 97. Do we take Igbuka, the wide receiver 3 in Tampa? I think we will, honestly. Projections should be horrible versus Brian Robinson starting running back, but we have Barkley, Bucky, Judkins. Maybe we continue to take these consolidated bets on offenses with the Eagles and now the Bucks. This may be the first time we've taken Igbuka. Phenomenal wide receiver prospect. Like if he found himself in Green Bay rather than Matthew Golden, I would be taking Igbuka up there probably in round 6. I'd be taking him over Pearsall and Deebo Samuel. Landing spot sucks, but maybe talent wins out. And Underdog obviously is a lot better when we wouldn't have to predict if he does end up walking away with a random spike week. Okay, let's see. And yeah, maybe Bo Nix is the selection. My thing with Caleb is I think he had a good rookie season. Expectations were maybe a little bit too high, but good rookie season, significant improvement to the offensive line, to the coaching staff, to the weapons around him. He's going into year 2 where we should naturally expect Caleb himself to take a jump with a coaching staff that should be better so that, in my opinion, makes him take an even larger leap. With an offensive line that should be better, has him take an even larger leap. with Romadunze going into year 2 and with Luther Burden and Loveland, like, we can go ahead and pull this up. But Caleb also had some rushing upside last year. Caleb had 483 rushing yards. Issue was 0 rushing attempts inside the 5-yard line. But if this coaching staff changes that and they let Caleb run inside the red zone, could be a lot better. I know Nix gives you the option to take Evan Ingram, and we whiff on Loveland. So maybe Bo Nix was the right call. Loveland ends up going well ahead of ADP, and looks like we would have got Evan Ingram. So now we know for future reference that we should go Nix over Caleb if we don't have that stacks. Because we're like, look, Loveland went ahead of ADP in comparison to Evan Ingram, Marvin Mims. And we may end up taking Evan Ingram here anyway, even without Bo Nix. So obviously we wish we could go back and fix that. I would almost rather have David Njoku than Evan Ingram, though. We're going to let it go with Ingram, but I don't feel great about that pick. Jonathan asking if I collect NFL cards. No, sir, I do not. The only cards I ever collected were Pokemon cards when I was young. I know we've had this conversation before, but when I was young, I loved Pokemon. And I still like if I go to like Walmart and they have like Pokemon stuffed animals, I still got to look at them all because, and I can give you all my little Pokemon spiel in a second, which I know most people don't want to hear, but I want to talk about. We may go David Njoku, take Evan Ingram, David Njoku, and call it a day at tight end. Here's my take with Pokemon. All right. I don't know if the designers that design like the original Pokemon, like the Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, that generation of Pokemon, you know, if they were just the best designs ever made, like aesthetic wise, they just look phenomenal, or if I just have such a positive association with them because my childhood. Like, I don't know. It's cute. Says, made it to the live stream. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. Real men rock with Pokemon. Pokemon is the absolute best. If I was ever going to get into collecting cards, which I'm probably not, I think I would be collecting Pokemon cards before I'd be collecting NFL cards. I'll collect NFL players on my fantasy teams. But Patrick says it's both. But Joseph says team busted after 2 rounds. Let me look at the mistakes we made with this team. It's the Best Ball Mania team. We got to take this serious. I really liked our draft through the first 5 rounds. Barkley, Bucky, Higgins, Smith, Jameson. If we had Burrow make it to us at 70, I would feel a lot better about the squad. I think it was the right decision to pass on Burrow to try to get to him at pick 70, given the context of the board. Sadly, didn't make it to us. But I don't think that was a mistake. I think the main mistake that we made was we were supposed to take Bo Nix, and instead we took Caleb Williams. I think if we don't have any Denver players and we don't have any Chicago players, now we have learned that the correct pick is Nix over Williams, and you're more likely to get a Denver player falling to you than you are a Chicago one. Because Chicago, it's Loveland or bust. With Bo Nix, you have Ingram, you have Mims. You could even go like Troy Franklin at around 18, so you have options. No, passing on Burrow is the right call. It didn't work out because the guy took him in front of us. But passing on Burrow in round 5 for Jameson Williams was the correct decision. Again, sometimes you got to take a gamble in these drafts and it doesn't work out. I think that was the right call to take Jameson. The incorrect decision was to take Caleb over Bo. Evan says, what's your opinion on Dobbins this year? I think Dobbins is a nothing burger. Again, it's not like I drafted a ton of Dobbins last year. I'm sorry, I'm pulling this up. Yeah, just get the fall off as the season progresses, which is what would concern me with Dobbins, specifically from the efficiency. What the hell are we doing? We're not taking another tight ends. Stroud, we don't have any Texans. McMillan, no thank you. Big Speed, no thank you. Are we really taking the big Q here? Actually, I would rather reach. Actually, no, we have Bucky. I'm not reaching on Rachaad White this far. We're going to go with the big Q. Good pick, no. Are there any other good picks on the board? No. So it is a whatever pick. And at this point, I don't necessarily think that we can take another unstacked option, because if we are going to say like win week 17, we need to have one of our stacks line up. Even if it's an unlikely stack, even if it's like a Geno Myers. I don't want to take another unstacked Stroud. Obviously, if he falls to us to this next pick, we will reevaluate. But I think we're unlikely to go in that direction. I think we go with Rachaad White. Just take the running back points. A player, in my opinion, going to score a lot more points than McMillan, Knoll, Dobbs, Sampson, Blue. I think he has both a higher floor and ceiling combo. The big issue with our team is the quarterback position. Everything else looks solid. I mean, tight end, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, I'm fine with. Wide receiver, Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jamison Williams, Jacoby Myers, Egbuka, Johnston, I'm fine with. Running back, Barkley, Bucky, Judkins, Rachaad White, I'm cool with. To have an unstacked Caleb, and then our potential stacking options later on, we're going to take like Geno Smith to pair up with Jacoby Myers. And then one other quarterback that at this point, we don't know who. We'll figure it out. Austin says Mason or buying the Harvey hype. I don't think RJ Harvey is like a super special player by any means. But I also don't think you have to be a super special player to score a lot of fantasy points as the Denver Broncos running back. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like RJ Harvey should have been a round 2 pick in the NFL draft or anything. But it would also be tough to look at him getting drafted at 60 and saying, oh, that's a horrible pick. Like, I think Judkins is a much, much better player, but Harvey's in a much better situation. Let's see. Drew says Stroud and Null wouldn't have been bad. You're right. Would not have been bad. May have been the move. Stroud does end up making it down to 155, which is really interesting. And if this is where Stroud goes, in my opinion, I think he'll probably be one of the better picks in drafts this year at the quarterback position, which I don't know if I've had a chance to take Stroud so far this year. And I think maybe the reason is I haven't taken a lot of Jaden Higgins. I haven't taken really any Nico Collins. So if we really like this price point with Stroud, we maybe need to start making ourselves take the Texans guys a little earlier. Let's move this down. Okay, we can take one more running back, 2 more quarterbacks, and the rest will be wide receiver. We could go Cedric Tillman and then take a shot on Flacco. The thing is, what are the chances that Flacco actually starts the entire season? Very low. Tillman goes. This team has... We're going to take Geno. We could possibly push Geno and probably get him at pick 171. But the thing is, if we're looking at who's available on the board, none of these guys are so compelling that I'd feel like we have to take him. Like, my actual plan was going to be to go Geno here at 166, Anthony Richardson at 171, and then follow that up with an end of draft pick of Adonai Mitchell. But we knew we needed Geno. We take him at 166 to pair him up with Myers. We will need another quarterback, and we will preferably have that guy stacked up with somebody who can get us a spike week. I'm not going to take much Adam Thielen this year. Like, I'm sorry. I think I'd rather have Tolbert. Obviously, Dak's already gone, but we can draft 8 wide receivers in this draft. We're going to have 4 more picks. So we need 1 more running back, 1 more quarterback, and 1 more receiver. So we need to look at the options of quarterbacks that could give us like late round stacking options. Please, for the love of God, do not be taking Shedeur Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. That'd be straight up just bad. So we could go. There's just no quarterbacks left. Even if we had Darnold making it back around to us. I'm not taking Torrey Horton. I'm sorry. Actually, what is the depth chart in Seattle? How bad of a pick would Horton actually be? Sorry, pulling up his prospect profile. Not a strong prospect, but not a strong prospect by any means. And I think I saw somebody in the chat previously said go MVS at one point. MVS over the past 4 years with playing with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, his best season ever, 101 fantasy points. No interest in going with MVS. And Darnold's gone anyway. So we have Jackson Dart as an option. Giants receivers, I guess we could go Darius Slayton. If you think Slayton has access to a spike week upside. Let's see. Slayton did give you the 26-point week in week 5 this year. And the year prior, he had a 20-point week, a 17-point week, an 18-point week. If you think Dart can come in and elevate the offense. Damn, I wanted Wandale. Actually, crap, we can take a running back. We'll go Dobbins. First time drafting Dobbins. I don't know if he has any juice left, but then quarterback, I should have taken Roshan. Who's more likely to make it back, Darius Slayton or Jackson Dart? We need a third quarterback no matter what. Let's take Dart, 195. We'll queue up Slayton. If we miss on Slayton, maybe we go for a bear stack with Caleb that we already kind of whiffed on. And yeah, there's just nothing left there. So the hope is we get Slayton. Jalen Hyatt's a fun name. I didn't know the Giants had Lil Jordan Humphrey. Let me see. Some of the guys that I went to school with in Texas, are they in the league? Devin Duvernay is with the Bears. Be a funny pick there. I had a class with Devin Duvernay and I had a class with Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson has a blurb. Gets a chance with the Raiders. Ooh, our Geno stack. I'm not taking Zacchaeus. Drew says, I may rather have Russ than Dart in best ball. My thought process is Russ probably starts more games. Best ball mania, if we're looking at weeks 15, 16, 17, I think Dart's may be more likely to be starting at that point specifically. Even if we'd expect Russ to be starting more games overall. Let's look at this. Nick Westbrook-Akine. And if we whiff on Slayton, we're probably going to need to take a receiver regardless here, with our wide receiver room being Higgins, Smith, Jamison, Myers, Igbuka, Quentin Johnson, Jalen Tolbert. So probably we'll just end up going with a bum receiver down here. I know, I think I saw somebody say trade Tucker because we have Geno. Where Tucker obviously did give you some spike weeks last year. You have a little competition coming to the Raiders, but it's not a ton. Steelheader says, hey, Mason, can you draft with Underdog in Ontario this year? I'm sorry, my friend. You cannot. I think Ontario, you only have like DraftKings, FanDuel. Unless I'm mistaken. I think you only have like the real big sports books. I know Underdog is available everywhere else in Canada outside of Ontario. Yeah. John, he was gone a while ago. I think we're going to get Slade. We'll see. I haven't taken Hopkins once. I feel like Demario Douglas isn't a bad pick, to be honest. Like, if we don't get Slade, I'd be fine with Douglas. But it looks like we are going to get Slade. And that was our third draft. I think we're just going to keep on doing these little streams of 3 drafts once we get back to Texas. And just to be completely honest with y'all, I am very limited on time right now because I'm having to do a bunch of stuff dynasty-wise. And also, since the race is, like, the big race I'm prepping for this year is June 6th. Like, those ultras, and say kind of same thing with Ironman races. Like, you have to taper off, like, 3 weeks before, but, like, 4 and 5 weeks before them, you're supposed to be, like, to be doing your peak training. So, like, every day this week, I've been out there running for, like, 4 hours a day. So I've been like very limited on time, and I will be limited on time probably next week as well. But when I go into my taper, mid-May, late May, early June, I'll have more time. And then whenever I get back to Texas, I'll have a lot more time. So maybe we bump it up past 3 drafts a stream then. But right now it's just a little bit tough for me. But again, obviously, really appreciate y'all hanging out with me in this stream. If you haven't already, please make sure you go down there, hit the like button, subscribe. And if you want to come to the streams at the beginning so you can actually get in these drafts with us, hit the bell next to the subscribe button, of course. And yeah, again, if y'all want to get in a draft with us, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy every single day. It's where we've drafted every day for years and will do so for years into the future. My favorite place to draft, of course, their best ball. No time commitment at all during the year, so it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league, just some extra fun on the side. And if you're in one of these states, you can draft on Underdog. Minus New York, we'll get an updated map for y'all very soon. They just reapplied for their New York license. Hopefully it's back soon. But yeah, again, use code FLOCK. You'll get that 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get my 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet. And that will just be sent to the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with as soon as it's written and sent out, which honestly probably won't be until about August when people are prepping for their drafts. But really appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. And I really hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.